Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Terry Coker. I'm here with Ray Fanning. Say hi, Ray.
Hello, everyone.
And this is Franchise Feedback Live. We're coming to you from just outside Asheville, North Carolina, and just outside Annapolis, Maryland. And we always like to know where people who are joining us are from. So why don't you put in the chat box where you're joining us from today as you get admitted into the room. What are we going to do today, Ray?
Today, Terry, we're going to be talking about what we did last week.
And boy, was it a crazy week. It was a fun week. We were actually in a franchise fishbowl for the entire week. And it's very, very much like being on Shark Tank for 5 days running, but we really don't want to get a cease and desist letter from the attorneys who represent the TV production company. So we'll just refer to it as a Shark Tank-like event and probably call it a franchise fishbowl.
That sounds great, Terry. And for our Canadian friends, it's the Dragon Den.
Yeah.
We can have lots of fun with it.
Tyler, Texas, Denver, Colorado, Costa Rica, Portland, Oregon. Boy, people from all around the world joining us. That's very rewarding. We want to take a quick opportunity and say thank you to everybody that is here and joining us. We really appreciate that. We got started doing franchise feedback a couple years ago. We were writing out very long answers to questions about franchising on LinkedIn. And I called Ray one day and I said, Ray, why don't we do video answers? We'll take a question out of the mailbag and you give your answer and I'll give my answer, and we'll try and keep these videos to 3 or 4 minutes. And then we can send them, to the person that asked and put them in our news feed on LinkedIn. And oh my goodness, we started to get traction. We started to get people asking us more questions through that. And so that turned into franchise feedback. And this is Franchise Feedback Live. Today, we're going to talk about disruption, and we're going to give you some resources. The first resource that we have for you is our website. It's hireyourbestboss.com. That will be in the chat for you, the URL for that. What we did is we took all of the videos that we had produced, which were answers to your questions, and put them on that URL so that you can go there and see if there's a question that you have in your mind. You can simply watch one of our videos. And then we have the roadmap series, which will take you through the 4 segments of a professional franchise investigation. So that's how we got started, right, Ray?
That's how we got started, and we created an insider group. It's an educational group. Hire Your Best Boss is actually all about franchise education, business education. The idea behind it is to help you consider your options, your resources, but really get to know who you are in order that you can educate yourself, whatever type of business ownership is of interest to you.
Yeah, so franchise feedback, Hire Your Best Boss, and our services as franchise consultants are always free to you. In our consulting and coaching model, we're compensated like executive recruiters or commercial real estate brokers in the seller pays model. So that's how our service is always free to you. It's been our model for over 20 years. It'll probably be our model 20 years into the future because it's a win-win-win situation for us, for you, and for the franchise companies. And we like that very, very much.
Very much. So
back to the what did we do last week? Let's tell everybody why we're here today to talk about the disruptive franchises that we see for 2023.
Absolutely. As we jokingly call it the Shark Tank, let me tell you, it's obviously a lot of people. If you see me being a little bit distracted, it's because there are a lot of people joining. So that's good news. We like that. I think people are interested in the kind of the conversation, Terry, that we have, which is we are going through what we did last week, which was going through and learning not just about the top franchises in the industry, which is obviously very important, but we're also looking at some of what we consider the emerging franchises, and we are always looking for disruptors. And in years past, Terry and I would get back together after we've gone through these, and they're kind of exhaustive, and spend hours going through it. And we did it again this morning. Quite honestly, it's what we did this morning. We were going through what we see as potential disruptors. And that's what we did last week. And it's incredibly important as we try to help our people learn.
And so just to put this in context for you, Ray and I are powered by the Fran Choice Network, and we do this every 6 months. So our franchise companies come to a very, very nice hotel in January and July, and we spend breakfast, lunch, dinner with them. We are in sessions. They're telling us about their management structure, their value proposition, their culture, who they compete against. So we literally were immersed last week from the time we got off the plane till we got back to the airport with franchise companies all around us. And this helps us make our matches. When we learn about you and we know about the companies, then we know what types of matches to make. So we do this every 6 months, and last week was a ton of fun. We saw a lot of great people out there, renewed a lot of relationships, and started some new relationships. Right, Ray?
Yep. It's all good. But you know what, Terry, you know what these people want right now?
What do they want, Ray?
They want to know what's disruptive. That's what they came for. They want to see what's out there, what's new, and we're going to give it to you. Let's kind of talk about it. We'll tell you what we see as disruptive, and with the one caveat, which is, Terry, does disruptive. Let me wait till you're drinking, then I'm going to ask you the question.
Oh no, I'm okay. No, I got a cup of coffee going here.
Does disruptive equal I should do it? That's the best ever.
Oh, clearly not. You shouldn't do any franchise without a thorough investigation. We call that the informed decision process. Just because it's disruptive doesn't mean it's good. In fact, it probably even needs a more thorough investigation because it's new and it's disruptive. But I always remember the most disruptive franchise of all time, Ray. Do you know what that is? Do you know where I'm headed with that?
I think they have some golden arches.
Golden Arches. I remember the movie about Ray Kroc starring Michael Keaton. And Ray Kroc was a milkshake machine salesman. And he gets that map and he lays it out on the hood of the car, and he drives to California to see the McDonald's brothers, who were cooking hamburgers automation style on an assembly line. Totally disruptive to the food industry at that point in time, and we know the result of that. So is there a McDonald's in here? There might be. We're not calling these companies out and saying, hey, this is the next McDonald's, but we are calling these companies and saying what we saw last week was disruption. So I think the first place to start is we saw a disruption in the management models. If you've been to Hire Your Best Boss, or you've talked to us on a Q&A call, a question and answer call, you've heard us talk about the 3 layers of possibilities. You have an owner-operator management model, right. You have an executive manage the manager model, and you have an investor model. And these are 3 different types of models that you can use to manage your franchise. And also a very, very good place to start as we get to know you, to ask you, how do you want to run your business? How do you want to integrate your life into your business? That will help us understand what's the right management model to recommend for you.
Yeah, absolutely, Terry. Terry, I got to just tell you, you're absolutely spot on those 3. And the reality is that the people who are really interested in disruptors, I see them fitting in a couple different buckets, and I want you to comment on it too. I see the serial entrepreneur. It's had a lot of success in the past, and they're looking for that next one. They're looking for something that's disruptive. They're looking for maybe a little higher risk tolerance, but the concomitant, the higher ceiling. And the second one is I have a couple folks who I kind of call them, for lack of a better term, they're kind of the emerging junkie. Right? They're really, really interested in a new business. They want to be on the cutting edge. They're the same person who gets the newest iPhone. They get the latest and greatest of every technology out there. So I see that, and I think a lot of the people who are looking for these kind of things fall in those two buckets. And if you can be in an emerging or in a disruptive industry, you can be an owner operator. You can be an executive multi-unit manager type, or you could be an investor. Those three, you're not limited. You'll have all those things, but you're going to have to get comfortable, or you're going to have to be comfortable with the risks that's associated with a disruptor, and even do, Terry, I think you said earlier, even more homework.
Even more homework. Yeah, absolutely agree with what you said there, Ray. Ray, have you ever stayed in a hotel?
Yes, Terry, I have.
Yeah, of course. Almost everybody, if not everybody, joining us today has done that. Hotels are franchises. They're branded. You have, all of your major brands, and there are many local owners, franchisees of those hotels, but they don't run the hotel. They use a management services company to run those hotels for them. And this is one layer of disruption that we're starting to see in the franchise industry now. You're starting to see franchisors come to the table with a management services contract where they will hire general manager. They will hire the staff. They will resource these people and run the franchise company for you. We believe that this is the next trend that's emerging in franchising, and it's very, very disruptive. But we know on our Q&A calls, we know from the questions that we get that there's a huge demand for people that probably have a stock portfolio they're not really happy with in 2023. 2022 was a tough year for the market. You can run these businesses through a management services company and free up or keep your job and protect your time, protect your income while you're building a company to create an off-ramp from corporate America or whatever it is that you'd like to leave and go into small business ownership. You agree with that trend, Ray?
Absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. Now, what was the first company that jumped out to you from our time in the Franchise Fishbowl last week, as you were shark tanking around the Hilton Hotel? What did you see that you said, wow, this is really disruptive?
I'm looking through the notes, and after we went through them, I'll tell you what really jumped out to me. The first thing was the business model disruptors. People were taking established business models and doing something differently. And there were two underneath that I thought, and they both were medical related. One was a chiropractic service done in a way I have never seen done before. Had something called Leo. You know what Leo is, Ter?
I do know what Leo is. Yeah, it's a very, very unique model. So I've been under chiropractic care since I was in my 30s, and I'm not 30 anymore. Have you ever been to a chiropractor, Ray?
Several, yes.
Have you ever really been to a chiropractor's office and said, wow, this is just a business machine?
Yeah, that's a great question. One, I'm not going to say which one because I'm not going to get in trouble.
And the answer is the same for me. I've been to one. Most chiropractors are great healers. I've had some wonderful chiropractors in my life over the years. They don't necessarily translate into being super business people, right? They're busy, hands-on healing people, and sometimes that business element gets lost. What this franchise company brings to the marketplace is an exceptional business system where the owner of the franchise becomes the investor of the practice. They hire an existing chiropractor. They put all the business systems in place, front desk person, couple chiropractors, and they oversee it and run it with business systems, and they allow the chiropractors to do what they want to do. And then what's the unique element that we saw to that business model, the Leo that you referred to, right?
It's a plan that actually helps the chiropractor. It helps you recruit the chiropractor because they get to come in, work the business, work really hard, kind of earn their own equity, and then they get to own it. They get to buy you out, and you can do it again and again and again. At least that's the plan. So it helps you. It's pretty unique on how they get a very willing, hardworking partner. That's the one thing that you worry about if you're non-medical person. Is how do I bring in somebody who's going to work really hard like it's their business? This makes it like it's their business. and you get to partner with people who are really good at the health side, and maybe you get to mentor and teach them. It's an interesting model, and if it works the way they say it works, and they've been doing it quite a while, it is going to be a disruptor, in my opinion. At least it has the potential.
Totally agree. And it's not a new franchise company. They have 140 plus franchisees that you can talk to. So this is not an emerging business where, there are 10 or 12 or 17 franchises. There are 140 people using this business model out there that you can use to validate the franchisor. I put in my notes in big letters, built-in exit strategy. The exit strategy is built into the model. So if you're out there listening to us today and you're not a chiropractor, you don't have to pass over this. You can be in the medical category. You can be in the health and wellness field. You can own a chiropractic office by bringing your business skill sets into this business model. You don't have to be a medical professional. You don't have to be a chiropractor. There are many people in this system that are not, that are operating the business with the end goal of being sell it to the chiropractor, and then the chiropractor wins because they have a practice that's fully established with all their business systems. Right. Reminded me just a little bit when I heard it of house flipping, right? This would be, I suppose, an equivalent of business flipping. You go in year 2 or 3, exit strategy, build it, then take your equity out of it.
Yeah. And as always, I'm sorry, just one last thing. Homework, working with us and with people who use an informed decision process. There's a reason we say do the homework, do the informed decision, because they all sound great. That's why we do the homework. So, but that seems like a disruptor to me, Ter.
Totally agree. And you said in this category that you saw another disruptor, right?
I did. It's close to many people's hearts. It's a mental health facility, and it's bringing mental health more to the masses. And there's a huge demand. Before a pandemic, before everything that has gone on in the last few years, there was a huge demand that was unmet. And these people are filling and trying to fill the niche there. And, a very interesting, do you need to be a mental health professional to run it? They say no, but you need to be a business person and follow their systems. They say yes. So it's very interesting. I think it was a disruptor last year. I feel it's still a disruptor. I think there's a place for it in the market that we're seeing right now.
So what kind of services does this franchise bring to the market, Ray? What do they do?
They're therapists. You have therapists who are working in the business. You're providing the mental health therapy and the services that people need. So it's a niche that's out there in the world, and you're just running that business, providing the services. In a way, you're the matchmaker. You're providing a place for the therapist to work with the people who need these services.
So the franchisee is a skilled business professional, and they create the business systems and use the systems that the franchisor provides, the training and the support. And then the employees of that business are psychiatrists, counselors, mental health professionals that provide these services to the marketplace. Do I have the idea right?
Right. They're the mental health professionals, whatever they may be. And corporate, of course, helps you get set up, get started, helps you keep going, helps set up the business. Billing is going to be obviously very important, helps you along those aspects. So as always, when you're doing the homework on those, God is in the details. So a business like that, huge demand, upsetting a traditional industry. I always like that, another way of doing it. So I look at it as a business model disruptor, very much so.
All right. A shameless plug here. If you're interested in health and wellness franchises, we have many more than the 2 that we've just mentioned that are disruptors. Schedule a question and answer call with us. We call them Q&A calls. And we'll talk to you specifically about where you are in your journey of investigating business ownership, what your skill sets are, what your background is, and what you might be interested in a franchise model. Just schedule a question and answer call with us.
Yeah,
Ray, did you see any businesses that were technology disruptors?
I did. That was actually the second category that I saw, you saw, that we were discussing, and I did see some technology disruptors. I saw a company that deals with residential energy. I saw a company that uses 3D printing technology. I mean, who knew? I saw a company that actually is a green alternative to epoxy. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I was looking at that green alternative, and I was thinking to myself, they're doing chemistry I've never heard of.
All right, so let's start there. This is a company that does floor coatings.
Yeah.
So if I want to trick out my garage, I built a house about a year ago, and we've got on the bucket list, trick out the garage floor. So if I want to trick out the garage floor, I can go down to Home Depot and I can buy some epoxy and I can spill it all over the floor and spread it out. You know, there are companies that I can hire. Where's the disruption in this, right?
You know, the disruption is the actual stuff. It's the
Product.
It's the product. It's what you're putting on the floor. It dries, according to them, 5 to 6 times faster than epoxy.
I wrote that in my notes too.
So, I was amazed. Now they also told you that you could eat off it, and you could even eat it. I don't know who eats it.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one.
Yeah, that was a hard pass. There was no smell. I actually didn't smell. You know that epoxy smell you get?
Yeah.
Terry, everybody. I didn't get a smell. I'm very, like, smells can turn me off, like, you know, that those kind of smells. I didn't get that. No, what do they call them? VOCs, whatever they call them. I didn't get that with this. So it was very interesting. Though this isn't the stuff you get at Home Depot. I mean, this stuff was thick looking.
3 to 4 times as thick in my notes. So it's more protective, it's faster drying. And from a business model perspective, if I have a van and I have my crews that are doing this, I've gotten quotes on that, and they tell me that it's about a day-long process. But what this franchise company said in their session to us is that they can do not 1 a day, but they can do 5 or 6 garage floors a day, or any other floor coating. So it doesn't have to be a garage floor. It can be a patio. It can be a commercial floor. Right. They can do 5 or 6 a day where the competitor's doing 1. Is that what you heard in your session?
That's what I heard when I went through them with them, and I was asking those kind of questions. And again, these are the kind of questions, right? This is exactly what you do. You get the questions, you trust it, and then you verify. Right? Trust and verify. So you're going to have to go through the informed decision process in order to make sure that these claims are true and things like that. When any company, if McDonald's says they can cook burgers faster, you got to figure out, trust it and then verify it. Right? You got to do the work. But yeah, that's what I heard, Terry, and it was very interesting, because it's not what I would call it, like a necessarily sexy, unless, Terry, what's your favorite line about sexy?
Unless you spell sexy, M-O-N-E-Y.
Unless you call sexy, M-O-N-E-Y. So
the financials on this business were pretty attractive.
Right. So you'd have to really dig into those and see where they are, what they're based on.
What kind of management model does this lend itself to, Ray? Is this an owner-operator management model?
Terry, I'm going to check my notes, because I was actually I was looking at that. I was looking at this as a home-based business model. I think it actually, from what I'm looking at, it can be owner-operator. It can be a multi-unit manager run. I think it can fit in both those. Is that how you saw it?
That's how I saw it. I asked the question specifically, can you scale this model? Can you grow into multiple vans? And the answer was absolutely. So, if you're out there and you're thinking, larger than an owner operator, then the executive multi-unit management system fits you very well. You can grow to a fleet of vans. You can control your entire marketplace.
One of the questions I asked a couple questions. You can call me Mr. Wonderful that day because I was asking some hard questions. But answer to one of the questions I asked, and they said that it was, that their ideal was looking for that executive multi-unit owner. That's what they said was ideal. That they would also entertain owner operator. But what they said was ideal was the multi-unit owner operator. The other thing I asked the question about, the product and was it patented? Because we always hear that. Do we always hear that question?
We always hear that question. Yep.
And the answer I got.
That's actually a Shark Tank question, but go ahead. Your answer.
Their answer. I asked the question. Their answer was naturally based, patent protected formula, manufactured in the good old US of A.
Oh, yeah. Run the flag up the pool. We love products that are manufactured in the US. All right. Disruptor in the floor coatings category. I would totally agree with that. And a shout out to Kevin O'Leary, who is Mr. Wonderful on the TV show Shark Tank. What's he always say, Ray? What's he known for saying on almost every episode?
He wants to see the money. He wants to see the fun. You got to know the
numbers. Your numbers.
Got to know the numbers.
Yeah, and we do that through the informed decision process too. There are 4 or 5 key metrics for every franchise that's out there, and there are about 4,000 of them in the U.S. marketplace. But no matter which one or multiple ones you're investigating, you've got to learn the 4 to 5 key metrics for that business system, and then how to apply those metrics. Which of your roles as the owner is dependent upon those metrics, which metrics are dependent upon your employees, and we help you get the answers to these questions by providing you with a list of questions and a process for going through the investigation.
Absolutely, that's what we're going to provide you. Terry, I'd like you to, I know time is going fast. I'd like you to talk about that 3D technology company that you were, I saw you digging in hard. Tell everybody about that.
I was digging in hard. I was fascinated by this. So I just read an article this morning in the Wall Street Journal on 3D printing. And I've just been really smitten with the idea of 3D printing for a long time now, but we haven't seen anybody bring it into the franchise space yet. And we saw it last week. Wow. So let me ask you a question, Ray. Do you have photos of your boys?
Absolutely, Tara.
Yeah. And, those little bride and groom of appliques that they put on top of wedding cakes.
I know what you speak of, my friend.
You got a Ken in a black tux, and you got a Barbie in a white dress, and they go on the very top layer.
Yep.
What if you could have a 3D statue of your oldest son when he gets married, but it's not Ken and Barbie, it's an actual replica of him and his bride?
Right. I'm not ready to think about that yet, Ter. But
yeah, I might be pushing the checkbook a little bit here, Ray. But this is what this company does. They've taken the 3D printing technology. They have put 110 cameras inside of a trailer, and they do event marketing. So think of all the events that you could go to where someone comes up, they understand what you're providing them, they select a size, they pay for it, they step inside the trailer, and they have a photograph taken of them very quickly. And then a few days later at home, they get the statue of that 110 camera photograph built, 3D printed, and sent to them in the mail. I'm absolutely amazed by this technology and the applications for it in a business model.
Yeah, it's I know you were digging into it, so I think the people out there who are those technology buffs who maybe are interested in a business that has, I believe that was an investor and or a executive multi-unit. Did I get that correctly? Or
yes, it scales very easily. It could be owner operator also if you just wanted one trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, That's interesting. I think there's going to be some people in there, and I do think it's going to be the technology ones. It might even skew a little younger than the dinosaur crowd, myself included. So excellent.
We
One
all
more.
have phones, and we all have photographs on our phone. And I think this is the next level of disruption in the photography industry, 3D printing.
Okay. Yeah,
Are we on to the next one, Ray?
Yeah, let's and again, we're coming up, the time is flying, so we'll try to go through, because we do respect your time. Everyone who can hold on a little bit, please do. We have this one, I think it's interesting. It's residential energy, and they're disrupting the residential energy field in a green manner, realistically. And it looks very promising. It really does.
What better time to bring an energy disruptor into the marketplace, right? Energy costs are through the roof, right? I got my electric bill the other day and I knew it was going up, right? Duke Energy told me it's going up. But boy, when I got it and actually opened the email, whew, my energy bills went way up. If there was a way I could cut those down, I'm all ears. And I know that everybody across the country is experiencing the same thing in our current economy. So this is residential solar panels. Now, Ray, solar panels, on houses have been around for a long time. You've been talking to me about this for several years.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Why don't you have solar panels on your roof yet?
I guess I'm just haven't gotten comfortable with the process and who's going to do it and how it's going to get done. And I also wanted to let a little bit of the innovation shake out. Yeah. Realistically, that and 2 kids in college.
Yeah, okay. Roger that. I hear you. So here's what we learned last week, right? Putting residential solar panels on your roof is not all that hard these days, right? There are kits out there. You can do it yourselfer, but what's the real stumbling block once they're on the roof, Ray?
Well, what I was hearing was a little bit of the permitting and how to get everything ready.
Permitting is a major issue in that space. Yeah. And getting the permits approved at different levels of government and different levels of approval is really the stumbling block to that whole scalability issue, right?
Boy, if they figured that out, Terry, I mean, they think they figured it out, and their growth in the last 5 years in their corporate units has been, it's
nothing less than stunning.
Yeah.
Nothing less than stunning. And so they tell us that they have this permitting and government regulation and approval process not only flow charted, but working smoothly. And so as the franchisee, you'll hire subcontractors to install these panels with your residential customers, but then guiding someone through that approval process, like we guide you through a franchise investigation, is what this industry disruptor is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very interesting. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind having a few people, maybe some people on this call, contact me, because I want to have a few people taking a look at these companies and going through the informed decision process, just for everybody's learning, just for the learning community. It would be nice to have some people in there. So if you have any interest in these kind of businesses, let us, let Terry know, let me know. And
I'm interested also. So Ray, you're asking if people want to be sharks?
Or dragons, we're good.
We're good. Yeah, if we've got anybody out there that wants to take a look at that, please schedule a Q&A call with us, send us emails.
We might empower you, right? We might empower you to be a shark on one of these.
Absolutely. What's next, Ray?
Well, Tara, I'm kind of at the point where this is what we came up with. Remember, just because these are the ones we talked about, that doesn't mean I'm going to recommend these or any of these to any one person. And it's real easy to get caught up in sexy, new, disruptive. Nothing wrong with steady eddies. There's some great companies that have been out there, gold standard companies, been out there 60 years, 50 years. Don't feel that you have to go after something like this. And if you do, it's always important to do the informed decision process, right? I know it's harder to work with us than other people. It's meant to be that way for you. So please be aware of that. We love sharing this kind of thing with you, but that doesn't mean it's for you.
Absolutely. And if you want to go to hireyourbestboss.com, we describe the 3 layers of possibility there. We talk about the 3 known costs of starting a franchise. And then we talk about 4 costs you might not know about, the hidden costs of starting a franchise that you need to understand also. So there are a ton of resources there. We are available for you, and we're so appreciative that you joined us today for this Disruptor Franchise Feedback Live. Anything you want to say as we get ready to sign off today, Ray?
No, thank you for your interest. Thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll keep serving you at these live insider events.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us today.
Bye now.
Bye now.